Hey gamers, it's Jake, and as you can see, I am not at State College right now, but I will never, ever give up the chance to dunk on Ken Penders. So, what the fuck is a Ken Penders? Hey, wrong music, wrong. There we go. There we go. Now, I'm not a huge Sonic fan. Hell, I was actually going to talk about the Mega Man comics. There's the real one, the Brazilian bootleg version, and the webcomic that, quote unquote, uses real sprites from the real games. But I actually have a bit of history with these. You see, back when Guinness World Records were cool, I had the Gamers Edition for 2013, and that's when I saw that the Sonic Archie comic series had the record for the longest comic line, outdoing even Marvel at the time. That's also when I realized that I recognized a lot of characters on the front cover, like Sally Acorn, Antoine, Bonnie Rabbit, from Sonic SATAM, otherwise known as Sonic the Hedgehog, not to be confused with the other TV series airing at the same time in the 90s known as The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. And man, I ate that shit up when I had Netflix. Sucks that it ended on a cliffhanger. As it turns out, these comics came first, but after a few issues, the comics started adapting material from the show, and I've only got a few minutes, so the basic rundown is that Dr. Robotnik, advisor to King Acorn, betrays and takes over the planet Mobius. Sonic the Hedgehog and Princess Sally head up the resistance, and they try and save the world and stuff. Gotta go fast. It's your usual Sonic good, Robotnik bad, but this time in a somewhat comedically dark timeline. And the comic and the cartoon can be pretty intense, all things considered, especially for what's supposed to be aimed at children. Oh, and by the way, if you watch the show, be warned, the theme song will get stuck in your head. It is banging. Okay, sorry, getting sidetracked. Back to what the fuck is a Ken Penders. So, meet Ken Penders. Look at that little shit-eating grin. I just want to slap it off his stupid face. Anyways, he was the head writer for the Sonic Archie comics from 1993 to 2006, and he thought he was so cool. He was making up so much really interesting lore, like the Echidna family tree, where he truly expected children to memorize whose names go where, and age-inappropriate relationships with Sally Acorn, like his character Geoffrey St. John, he was over 18 while dating Sally as a minor. Oh, and he also did some things in the comics that could be considered very bad, like having someone sleep with someone who claims to be Sonic but is not Sonic. And yep, that's Scourge, another original character. Do not steal. And Penders also claims that he made over 200 super unique characters for this comic series. Here's just a few of them. Okay, so, there's all that, right? And some of you may be aware of the hit Nintendo DS game, Sonic the Dark Brotherhood, where in it, the titular Dark Brotherhood is made up of a bunch of echidnas. And, we know that Ken Penders loves his echidnas. And it turns out he had his own echidna tribe, the Dark Legion. And now Ken thought Sega was stealing his totally awesome ideas and took Sega and Archie to court, asserting that they couldn't use his characters in their games. Now, just a note, this lawsuit takes place in 2011. The game came out in 2008, and he stopped working on the comic in 2006. So he's really taking his time here. So Sega's sitting there in the courtroom like, wow, he sure is dumb. After all, he signed a contract stating that any characters he makes becomes Archie and Sega's intellectual property, and he has no ownership over these characters in any way, shape, or form. This'll be a cinch. Alright, Archie, pull out the paperwork. Archie? Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards. Yeah, so Archie lost the paperwork, and Ken Penders won this case. He left Archie, took all of his supporting cast that he made, and then he gave Archie no choice but to entirely reboot the whole damn comic line. And the comic was going downhill anyways, and this kind of started the slow demise of Sonic in comics, because Sega demanded that Archie was no longer allowed to use any characters not from the games or the original issues. So basically anyone not owned by Penders that was already in the comics. And Sonic could never lose. His characters could never have the same intense emotions drawn as before. Like damn, you just killed anything the comic had going for it. And I don't blame Sega, though. None of this would have happened if Archie just kept the paperwork somewhere safe, and if Penders wasn't such an asshole. Oh, and that reminds me, I heard a while ago that Sonic SATAM cartoon might be getting a third season. Let me just check in on that real quick. Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Bro was burning every bridge he could with Sega and sabotaged any chance that this canon would ever return. Which sucks, because I'm going to be straight up. This is the best Sonic story out there. I don't care if it's a controversial opinion. I don't care if it's so dark that it's funny. It's the truth. And the only Sonic related thing that's better than this timeline is, of course, the theme song from Sonic Underground. But I'm not allowed to talk about that, so sorry, Vince and Adam. Anyways, so what's Ken up to now? Well, he was supposedly working on a comic starring all of these echidna creations of his called the Laura Sue Chronicles, who I think's the daughter of Knuckles. I don't really care. And it only took 13 years of development, but he got one volume of it out last year. Here's a sneak peek. You know, I'm gonna be real. I'm just kind of glad he had nothing to do with the Mega Man crossover that I didn't read.
Oh, by the way, did you guys know that echidnas have 4 penises?